Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome back to the Trevor Bauer Show. If you remember, last time we talked, I left you guys with the apartment complex burning down. Or not burning down because it was a fake fire alarm. Not a fake one, a false one, because some dust or something in the parking garage got in the fire detector and then the smoke detector, and then it set it off, and then the fire department came, and then the whole I don't know. Anyway, so the apartment complex did not burn down, and everything was fine. And I thought that was going to be the craziest thing that happened, because when does that ever happen? It's just completely new and whatever. But it's 2020, so I don't know why I expected that that would be the craziest thing to happen. So that happens on a Thursday night, or Thursday night. And I feel like so much has happened since then that I don't even know where to start on all the updates. We had the positive COVID test and all the hoopla and fun that went along with that, so we'll dive into that. We have the Tatis Homer unwritten rules hoopla, whatever you want to call that situation, so we'll get into that too. But the most pressing thing is what just happened yesterday. I guess 2 days ago now when you're viewing this, my last start, Kansas City. Oh man, what a firestorm. So originally was planning on having the Send It shirt ready to go for Kansas City, and we were going to do a big push on YouTube and kind of just commemorate that moment. Not commemorate it like it was a good moment or anything like that, but just remember it. You know, it happened. I can't take it back, so we're gonna make some fun of it. So then the whole Joe Kelly suspension comes down, and we talked about all that stuff, and all this stuff happened. So I had the idea to get some free Joe Kelly cleats, and I thought it'd be a fun thing for the fans. You know, free Joe Kelly could be free, hashtag free whoever, right? It's a common, like, it's part of pop culture, and in baseball anyway, it's like, hey, there's a guy in the minor leagues that we really want up, so the fan base is going to start the free so-and-so movement, or yeah, free so, like, it's a funny thing. It's just like it's not offensive to anyone. I can't imagine anyone who would be offended by it. So anyway, we're going on, we get the cleats, I'm ready to wear them, and then we get the COVID test, and all this stuff happens, but I finally get a chance to wear them coming into the Kansas City start. So tweeted out a video like I have been doing the entire season, like, hey, these are my cleats, these are the features of them. Go ahead and go online to trevorbauer.com. If you buy any merchandise, you're entered for a chance to win the authenticated, signed, game-worn cleats, the whole deal. So I tweeted out the video, and in 2 hours, it got 1 million views on Twitter, went super viral. Everyone picked it up. ESPN, Barstool, Bleacher Report, Yahoo, just on down the line. Sports Center, just everybody picked it up. Apparently, MLB picked it up too, because this is where it all started going, you could say downhill, but I was prepared for it. I had 2 options in mind. One, I was going to have the cleats, I was going to wear them, there's going to be pictures of me on the mound in them, and then it would have gone on as normal, and it would have been a big thing. It would have been, it would have been fun for the fans and everything. It would have been good. It would have been big. But the other option is MLB was not going to let me wear them, and that's the option that happened. So what happens, I tweet out the video, it goes viral, I get a call immediately from, immediately being 30 minutes later. But apparently it was 2 minutes after the tweet went live, the union got a call, my agent got a call, the Reds got a call. MLB just started calling anybody and everybody who is potentially associated with me and telling me that I cannot wear them. So this is what happened. The cleat policy this year changed. MLB got wise, I guess you could say, and they allowed players to put whatever they want on their cleats, as long as it's not political or offensive, I think was the terminology used. So whatever you want on your cleats, MLB can make political statements on the back of the mound. We have support for a Black Lives Matter group. We have support for other, we have companies' logos painted on the back of the mound. We have all this different stuff going on. So that stuff is okay. Self-expression in that way is okay. Players can put whatever they want on their cleats. That's okay too. But apparently if you put Free Joe Kelly, the words Free Joe Kelly on the cleats, Rob got mad. He got mad. So he started calling everybody and was not too happy with with my Free Joe Kelly cleats. So he threatened to suspend me. Well, first he threatened to not have, I don't even know. There's so much stuff. I can't even keep it all straight in my head. So he called the umpires and told them that if I was to take the field in those cleats for the game, they were to not allow me to take the field. They were supposed to eject me from the game, and then the league threatened to suspend me after I was ejected, to suspend me and then levy an unprecedented fine against me. Now, here's the rule that normally is in effect, and it's still in effect this year for uniform violations. A first uniform violation is a warning. A second uniform violation is a $500 fine. A third uniform violation is a $5,000 fine. A fourth uniform violation is a $10,000 fine. And a fifth uniform violation in a season is up to the discretion of the league office on how they will discipline you. So, per their own rule, had I been in violation of the cleat policy, they should have just warned me. They would have had no grounds to suspend me or eject me or anything like that. But because I don't know why, they got mad. They got mad, and then they threatened to do all that to me. We have these little watchdogs following us around this year from MLB. There's these little spies that they put everywhere. There's a spy down in the lobby of the hotel. There's a spy in the clubhouse, and they're walking around to make sure that 3 TVs can play the game in the clubhouse, the weight room, training room, whatever it is. 3 TVs, but if you have a 4th one, no, cannot do it. Not 4, has to be exactly 3. If a player is not wearing a mask at any point in the clubhouse, or let's say you just got done working out and you're breathing really heavy, you're just done cardio and you walk in and he sees you not wearing a mask, he's supposed to report you off to MLB. Anyway, they have these little snitches, these little spies that run around and try to report all of our behavior off to MLB. So one of these people was clearly informed that I was going to be wearing these cleats. And so he was following me around all day, just looking at what I was going to do. So league called the Reds. I had a conversation with the GM and the president and the manager of the Reds and all these people, and came to the conclusion that I was not going to be able to wear the cleats because I didn't want to take the chance putting my teammates at risk for not having me be able to go and pitch the second game of a doubleheader. So once that decision got made, I immediately kicked in my plan B, which was if MLB decides to not let me wear the cleats, then I'm just going to make it a big public issue. So I called Passan on the phone, and I called Carabas on the phone at Barstool. I'm like, hey, y'all, this is the deal. This is what's going on. So when you see me not wearing the cleats tonight, this is why. So then, of course, Barstool has it and Passan has it. Well, when Passan has it, ESPN has it. When ESPN has it, everybody else picks it up. So that went viral. So we got the initial viral tweet with announcing the cleats, and then like 2 hours later, we got the viralness of MLB's not letting him wear the cleats. But of course, I wore them for pregame, and I wore them when I was long tossing in for my bullpen. So we'll get to that in a second. So the Passan tweet goes out, that goes viral. Everyone's like getting super mad. Hey, you should wear them anyway. All the fans, I love all you fans. You all came to my defense and actually enjoy having fun and cool stuff, and like when baseball's cool. So thank you to all the fans for that. So that gets decided. Then I go out there and I warm up. But when I'm going out to warm up, I see the MLB, I guess the live content creator is what it's called. I don't remember her name, but she was there to take pictures of the action. They are there to take pictures of the players playing, and then they upload them to an app called Greenfly, and then the players can pull those from Greenfly and then post them on their social media or whatever. So I asked her very specifically, can you get a picture of me doing my shoulder tube pregame? I stand out on the cut of the grass on the warning track doing my shoulder tube, warming up, and I'm like, can you get a picture of me on doing my shoulder tube? And she kind of looked at me and she was like, I was specifically told not to take pictures of you if you're wearing those cleats. I said, man, they thought of that too? So MLB, I mean, they checked all the boxes. They got the umpires, they got the manager, they got my agent, they got the live content creator they thought of. I'm surprised they didn't tell the TV broadcast that they couldn't broadcast the game. So anyway, that didn't happen. But plenty of people in the stands that aren't MLB employees clearly knew about the cleats, and so they got plenty of pictures of me in the cleats, so there's plenty of pictures of them out there. So I go out to warm up, I'm long tossing. Guess who walks out on the field? The little watchdog snitch guy from MLB. And he's sitting there looking at my cleats and acting like he's just trying to, see what's going on. I'm the only person on the field at this point. It's not like I'm the only thing you're monitoring. So then I come in, I finish, I go to the bullpen, I'm sitting there, I start warming up on the mound, and out comes Mr. Snitch. And he goes over to look and see if I'm in the bullpen wearing the cleats, and yeah, he came over to the bullpen acting like he was looking at something else, but he was checking out my cleats, going back to report, "Hey Rob, he's wearing the cleats, what should I do next?" So then of course I went and changed my cleats. After I'd thrown in the bullpen, before I went out for the first inning, I changed my cleats, I get them authenticated, so that's all, it's this big thing, and so we're gonna give those away to one lucky fan. But that's the whole deal on the cleats. So then I go out there and I pitch, and one thing I missed during that game was the mascot for the Royals had a sign, a big target, and he was standing out in center field like, "Hey, throw it here, Trevor." So that was pretty funny. I missed it, and I wish I would have seen it during warm-up because I 100% would have thrown a ball to him, so that would have been another viral tweet or another viral moment. I went out. I pitched pretty well, actually. 7-inning complete game shutout, gave up a hit, walked 3, which I was bummed about, struck out 9. Team got a win, so that was great. And then after the game, I had this one planned too. I was like, oh yeah, after the game, I'll send a tweet out to see if Carlos Correa might happen to want the cleats. Now, I have to explain this because I don't have anything against Carlos Correa as a person. And I don't have anything against him as a baseball player other than the fact that he was part of the Astros team that cheated. So it's not a personal attack on him when I tag him in this stuff. It's just kind of like trolling. Everyone trolls on the internet. I consider myself an internet troll. I identify as an internet troll. So it's just lighthearted fun on my end, just like joking around. Now, I understand that his mentions get blown up and stuff like that, but I mean, if that's the worst that happens from cheating a whole year to get to a World Series title and winning it, I think you're doing all right. So that's how I justify it. I don't have anything wrong with him personally, so I just wanted to make that clear. So anyway, I send this tweet out, "Hey, if you want these cleats, send me a shipping address. I'll ship them to you." And of course, that one goes viral because everyone's eyes are on this moment. And man, I think that one got 1 million views too in the course of 8 hours. And then after that, I put up some tweets about, Rob and the whole cleat policy and all this different stuff. My cleats weren't violating. I don't find Free Joe Kelly to be offensive. I guess the only part of the equation that my cleats violated is the fact that Rob has the sole discretion to deny any cleat that he wants based on no merit whatsoever. So, I guess technically he was in the right to tell me I can't wear the cleats, according to the policy. But, I mean, was he really in the right, fans? I'll let you guys answer that question. Pretty ridiculous. Also, another thing that has to be mentioned during that game, the broadcaster for the Reds, Tom Brenneman, said some stuff that was not at all acceptable. I'm not going to comment too much on that because I really don't want this show to get into that side of things. I want to keep it focused on kind of what's going on in my life and my opinions on stuff. But it does need to be said that that type of thing is not acceptable, and so we'll see the fallout from that. There's going to be a lot of obviously fallout for him, but also for the Reds organization and stuff like that. So we'll see where that ends us up. But that's the whole thing with the cleats. It went just. I mean, I had the main plan, and then I had a backup plan, knowing that Rob would probably jump over to that. Jared Carrabis actually brought up a really good point. He said, "I wonder if Rob's in on it, and he knows that this is going to bring more attention to baseball. Maybe he's just the heel, and he's playing the part perfectly to." It's like a wrestling storyline. I don't watch wrestling, but that's what Jared was saying. But yeah, I thought that might be interesting because maybe he didn't know, but he's a smart guy. Rob is a smart guy, And I think he would have realized that if he didn't let me wear the cleats, it would blow up even more. But maybe he didn't realize that. I don't know. Anyway, just a perfectly executed night. I got one more thing to say about the game. In the 6th inning, I was like, man, how am I going to top? Like, I got all this stuff going on, and then I got the idea. I was like, dang, I'll put my Send It shirt on underneath my jersey, and then when the game is over, I'll just take my jersey off. And this is actually an idea that Morgan gave me, Morgan Blank. She's my head of marketing and handles all that stuff for me. She's great at it. And so she had this idea. She's like, man, I don't know why when hitters hit a home run, they don't have like an undershirt on where they say, they open it up and it's like an advertisement or it's like, something like that. So I adopted that idea and I put my own spin on it. So I changed my shirt, brought it down, changed it out, put my uniform back on, went out there, finished off the game, complete game shutout, and then undid my jersey. And so, of course, that clip goes viral. And the Send It shirt goes viral. So it's just a really I love it when everything comes together. The only thing that was not planned out was like me pitching well. And obviously I had a plan for that, but you never know what's going to happen. I could have had an off night. I hadn't pitched in 13 days or whatever the case is with COVID, which is the next thing we're going to get into. But I just love when it all comes together. The culmination of working really hard at what I do on the field, to be really good at what I do on the field, to then be able to have a platform to be really good at the things that interest me, which is like outsmarting people and marketing and bringing attention to the game and all that. So like it was just a perfect, like everything lined up. Just big fan of it. So Wednesday in Kansas City was a great day for me. Really enjoyed that one. Why did I not pitch for 13 days? Well, we had a positive COVID test, and I feel like this has been covered on some of the vlogs, and they're coming out as the days go along. So if you haven't seen those, I don't know, you've probably been living under a rock, but if you haven't seen those, go over to Momentum's channel, and they're on Momentum's channel. Anyway, we have a positive COVID test, and a lot of stuff happened. Like, we had to test, man, I don't even know where to start on this one either. So positive COVID test happens. I think I was supposed to pitch on a Saturday. I was supposed to pitch on a Saturday. So the positive COVID test happened on Friday. After our game Friday, we found out that there was a positive. And so then everything gets thrown into this huge mess. So the games on Saturday got canceled so we could figure out who else was positive, if anyone, or whatever was going on. And then we were maybe going to play a doubleheader Sunday. And then that got canceled. So we were maybe going to play a doubleheader on Monday, but then that got canceled. But then we were maybe going to play on Tuesday and then that ended up getting moved. And so this is all crazy. So we had to go on Saturday. We had to come to the field between 9 and 11 and spit in a tube. The commissioner sent his plane, Rob sent his private plane to Cincinnati to collect those samples and take them off to the lab to get tested that day. The next day, Sunday, we had to come to the field and test again. And Monday, we had to come to the field between 9 and 11 in the morning and test again. So we have 3 consecutive days of negative COVID tests. So everybody else's test came back positive, except for the one player who happened to test, everyone's test came back negative, except for the one player who happened to test positive. So the Red staff and the strength and conditioning staff, the medical staff, the clubhouse staff, everybody associated with the situation has been following protocols very, very well and very, very closely. And we're very fortunate that only one person so far has gotten it this time. We've had a couple other people in the past during summer camp or whatever the case is that have had it. But so that comes out. That's our morning routine. So then we end up with 3 consecutive days of positive of COVID testing. On top of that, MLB conducted a contact tracing, I don't even know, analysis maybe? So every time we get on a bus, one of the staff marks down where everybody sat. And every time we get on the plane, they mark down where everybody sat. And so this is all going on. So they looked at that data and they came up with like, okay, who's been in contact or close or this or that or the other. On top of that, they took video from our game and they looked at the dugout and saw like who's touching who and who's by who. Did anyone high five? And so they came up with a list of high risk, I don't remember the exact terms they used, but basically people who were in close contact with the player and people who were high risk. And so the high risk are people who had like direct like high fives or something like that. And so those players had to have like five negative tests, 5 consecutive days of negative tests before they were allowed back with the team. So that was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so the games on Monday was an off day for both us and the Pirates, who we were playing. The Pirates didn't want to play a doubleheader on their off day, which makes total sense. So they went back to Pittsburgh. And then Monday happened. And then Tuesday, MLB was trying to get us to play in Kansas City on Tuesday night, but we weren't allowed to travel. We weren't even cleared to travel until we got the results from Monday's tests back. So those didn't even come in until midnight between Monday and Tuesday. And then because of the close contact and high risk and all that different analysis, Delta wasn't even sure if they were going to be, we chartered Delta. They weren't sure if they were going to be able to even transport us per Delta's policy as a company. They weren't sure if any of those guys were going to be able to get on the plane. So at one point there was like 13 people on our team that could not travel, even though they've tested 3 consecutive days negatively for COVID. So they couldn't travel. So they were going to have to then take a private jet to Kansas City. We were going to take the charter jet to Kansas City, then meet up at the hotel and go directly to the field to try to get all of our treatment done and preparation done and go play a game. And of course, I was supposed to pitch that game. I didn't want any part of that, so I was like, hey, is there any way, I don't think this is safe for a pitcher to have to wake up early in the morning to get on a plane where you can't, part of flying on the plane, we couldn't have water, we couldn't have food, we couldn't eat anything, nothing like that, because that's Delta's policy in this situation. So we couldn't hydrate, we couldn't eat well to prep for a big league game, and then on top of that, we haven't been able to do any physical activity. We were forbidden from using the field, the facilities, for the entirety of the time that we were out while we got the negative tests back and got cleared again to play. So we have players that weren't able to even go do anything because some of the players were told that they had to stay in their hotel or in their room, their place of residence, because they were supposed to self-isolate because they're on this close contact list, or they were on the high risk, or they were whatever the case is, and so they can't do any baseball activities. So it's not fair to ask us to travel on the same morning that you're going to end up playing a big league game when you haven't even had a chance to work out after being cleared. So I spent all of Monday with Sonny Gray and the rest of the player leadership for the Players Association with the Reds. So it's like Tucker Barnhart and some of those other guys on the team. I don't know if people really want their names out there or not, but anyway, the main group of leaders on the Reds got together and we were talking all of Monday. We were on phone calls nonstop with the union, with our agents, with the team, and the team was talking to MLB and the union was talking to us and the team and MLB, and people are calling us, and it went on for like 8 hours. It was pretty crazy, trying to get some resolution on if we were playing Tuesday or not. And ultimately, I think the right decision was made. We did not play Tuesday. We played a doubleheader on Wednesday. I know the Royals, I think originally were the ones that wanted to play on Tuesday and Wednesday and not have a doubleheader. But I don't know how all that whole situation worked out. All I know is it was a long 8-hour day after getting some baseball work in on trying to get the games scheduled and figured out and all that, and lots of phone calls. Went to bed on Monday night knowing that we were probably going to travel, but we didn't have our COVID tests back yet, so we didn't know for sure. So we're like, okay, we got to wake up. I had to wake up at 8:30 to be able to get to the field if we were going to travel, to pack all my bags, because I hadn't been able to go into the clubhouse to pack my bags or anything like that while we were forbidden from using the clubhouse and the facilities. So woke up, found out that all of our tests had come back negative, so we were cleared to travel. Also woke up, went to bed not knowing if we were playing the next day or not, and then fortunately woke up and said, okay, we are traveling today, we have a workout, and we're going to play on Wednesday, a doubleheader. So that whole thing got straightened out, but it's pretty crazy. No one really knew like anything that was going on. The protocols seem to have changed again to try to handle it. Perhaps MLB is learning from the prior outbreaks or the prior positive tests and on different teams, and perhaps they're zeroing in on a protocol that makes sense. But it is a little bit frustrating to have different protocols used at different points in the season for different teams when they encounter the same problem, and then it's handled. I don't know. It's a little bit. This whole year is weird, so it makes sense that the protocols and all that stuff would be weird. But anyway, we ultimately ended up only missing 2 games, which will make up with the Pirates as part of another 7-inning doubleheader later on in the year. I got to imagine I'll end up pitching that since I end up pitching all the 7-inning doubleheaders. So that'll be kind of interesting when that comes about. Let's see, what else happened? Oh, the Tatis hit a grand slam. Fernando Tatis Jr. hit a grand slam. I'm sure if you're a baseball fan, you've heard about this by now. I won't touch on it too much, but Fernando Tatis hits a 3-0 homer. Apparently was given the take sign, didn't take, obviously, and hit a homer instead. And there was some backlash. The Rangers manager wasn't too happy about it, threw some shade out there in the press conference. Didn't say it directly, but was like wondering aloud. Clearly wasn't too happy about it. Evidenced by the fact that after Tatis hits the homer, the manager takes that pitcher out of the game, puts a new pitcher in, and the first pitch that the new pitcher throws is behind Manny Machado's back at like 95 miles an hour. So clearly the manager wasn't too happy. Clearly, in my opinion, I mean, I feel like perhaps the bullpen guy, the reliever, was paying attention, and he wasn't happy about it, but I've never heard of this whole unwritten rule thing that if you swing, in a 3-0 count, if you're up by more than, I don't know. Apparently, there is an unwritten rule that if it's up by 6 after 6, you don't swing 3-0. So I had a conversation about that today. Up by 6 after 6, or for short, if it's 6 after 6, you don't swing 3-0. That sounds like complete and utter BS to me. I don't know how that rule got made up. I don't know, it clearly wasn't analytically based. Oh, well, the chance of losing if you're up by 6 after 6 is so much greater, or so much less than the chance of losing if it's 5 after 6. So this is the proper cutoff, and it just sounds like something some old baseball people made up. And it's like, oh, this is disrespectful, and so if it's 6 after 6, that's enough. Like maybe a drunk night out, and that's how it got started. I don't know, but apparently that's the unwritten rule. I have never heard of it. The people that I've talked to, most of the players have never heard of it. Some of the coaching staff has heard of it. So this is clearly an antiquated, unwritten rule. Up by 6 after 6, you don't swing 3-0. So apparently that's what Tatis broke. I think it's a BS rule, because this is why. If a position player is in the game pitching, so let's say it's a blowout, it's 15-0 in the 8th inning, and the team that's getting blown out puts a position player in just to cover innings because they don't have any relievers left. Are the hitters on the other team not supposed to swing? They're just supposed to sit there and take? Would it be disrespectful to swing the bat against a position player? If someone has a no-hitter and a guy goes to bunt to break up the no-hitter, what's everyone screaming at him? Oh, don't bunt to break up a no-hitter. You got to swing the bat. So to me, it's like there's these base level actions in baseball. The pitcher has to throw the ball to the plate. The hitter is supposed to swing and try to put the ball in play. The fielders field the ball and throw it to first to try to record an out. There's certain base level actions in baseball that just always occur. You would never tell a player hey, if you're on first base and there's a ground ball hit, well, we're up by 7 runs in the 9th inning, so just don't run to second. Or just don't swing. Just go up there and take. Just don't even swing the bat because we're up by enough runs. Or hey, if you get a ground ball to you, it would be disrespectful to the other team to throw it to first and record an out. So just don't do that. Swinging the bat is a base level action in baseball. So how are you going to tell someone to get mad at someone for swinging the bat? It's not like a stolen base. Okay, so if it's if you're up 7 runs in the 8th and someone attempts to steal a base, that the winning team attempts to steal a base, now it's okay, you didn't have to do that. That's not a base level action. It's a choice that you made with the intent of gaining an extra base to then make it easier to score a run, to tack on when this game is considered to be over anyway. Not that any game is ever over. I've seen 10-run leads evaporate in 2 innings. And we just had one the other day. I think I forget who it was. I think the Blue Jays were involved in it. There was like a 11-2 game or something in the third, and then they ended up coming back and winning it. So anyway, there's these base level actions. If you steal a base up by 7 runs or whatever, it's like you're attempting to tack on and like embarrass someone. That I can see might be disrespectful. It's whatever, you know. I have my emotions about it, my thoughts about it at different points, and depending on the team and the players and whatever the case is. But swinging a bat is an underlying base level action of baseball. So how are you going to get mad at someone for swinging the bat? It just is absolutely baffling to me. So the Texas manager gets mad at it. Then the very next pitch goes behind Manny Machado. There's no warnings issued on the field. So I don't know how you can deem that just wasn't intentional. It was very clearly intentional. So no warnings are issued. The pitcher ends up getting, I think a day or two after that happened, he ended up getting a 3-game suspension, and the manager for Texas ended up getting a 1-game suspension. But after that happened, in the post-game conference, San Diego's manager comes out and basically says that Tatis was in the wrong. At least that's how it came off. Now, he clarified his comments the day after, and he said, look, I was saying that, he missed a sign, and we're going to have to clean that part up, and it's certainly not something, whatever the case is, but he wasn't saying that he shouldn't have swung the bat. So, it sounded to me like he was walking it back a little bit, like he said something that he believed in, and then it got a ton of negative backlash. The next day, he kind of spun it and walked it back. That's how it sounded to me. I don't know what went on there, so I'm certainly not judging him for it. I could be very wrong on that, but that's how it came off to me. And you're here on this channel to hear how things came off to me and what I'm going through, so that's my opinion on that. And missed an opportunity in the post-game conference, at least from what I've heard, to defend Manny Machado, who wasn't involved in the decision to swing 3-0 and hit a homer, that didn't miss a sign. But Manny Machado now gets the ball thrown behind him. So, and as a manager, I would feel like you would defend your player and say, hey, there's no reason to be throwing at my players. It's not, we're just doing, the base level things in baseball. We're just swinging, whatever the case is. But that didn't happen. So that was a whole situation. So I tweeted out some rules for Tatis. One, just basically telling him some support of, continue playing the game and making it fun, making it flashy, keep doing you. The only thing that you did wrong here was apologize, so stop doing that. Because the unwritten rules are just killing baseball. You can't have fun. It's basically anything that you do on a baseball field that's fun is somehow in violation of an unwritten rule, supposedly. Even though I've never even heard of the unwritten rules. It's every time someone does something on a baseball field that's fun and someone else gets offended by it, it now broke an unwritten rule. I think a lot of people are just getting offended by stuff that happens on a baseball field. If you don't want someone to hit a grand slam against you, don't load the bases, and then don't get behind 3-0 and then throw a pitch that can be, just be better. And Tatis, hitting a home run is hard as heck in the big leagues anyway, and Tatis is on fire right now, and he just is good. So he was better than you on that night, and then that's cause for saying he broke an unwritten. I don't know, man. That whole situation. But that was another moment on Twitter. That one went off quite a bit. A lot of people came out supporting Fernando and what he did and telling him to continue doing it. So that was really good to see. So I think those are the baseball updates. And we didn't play over the weekend because of COVID, and then had a doubleheader in Kansas City. We covered that. We covered the Tatis thing. So, man. All right. We got some life updates. Scott Boras, not a fan of the vlog. Not a fan of the vlog. When I sent out a tweet saying that if the fans would like to get a behind-the-scenes view of what it's like for a team facing a potential COVID outbreak, I was going to vlog the whole thing. Scott Boras, not a fan of that, got offended because he thought that I was releasing medical information on players that I shouldn't be releasing or something like that. Even though Ken Rosenthal tweeted that the Reds had a positive COVID test 12 hours before I even said anything publicly. I was asleep when that news broke publicly. And so Scott got offended by that and then sent out some internal memo to his players about the fact that I'm not I don't know, what was he saying? He was saying that, I'm not a reporter and it's not my clubhouse and I can't be doing what I'm doing and it's not legal and this and that and the other. And He's going to shut me down, go to the PA. So that's just not it. I got Boras clients calling me, asking me what's going on, and asking me what I'm doing, and like this and that and the other. It's like, this is just ridiculous. This is another old baseball person who just doesn't want the game to be fun and doesn't like the fact that someone else has a platform besides him in baseball. For the longest time, the only person anyone could talk to on the player side of things was Scott Boras, and he had it that way on purpose, and he loved it. Anytime someone needs a quote for the player side of things, they either get it from the union director or they get it from Scott Boras. And so now I guess he's offended or something that another player has a platform. So then he goes on a podcast with his little buddy John Heyman, his little leak machine, John Heyman, who tweets out all the stuff that Boras wants him to tweet out and all that fun. But he goes on a podcast with John Heyman and someone else, and my name came up, and he was saying that there's certain players in the league that, well, first off, he said that some BS about me misinterpreting the private jet thing that I don't know, which is not the case at all. And then when they pressed him on it, he had to say again that, and so he finally got to he hemmed and hawed for a while, and he finally briefly skirted around the issue, and that, man, he said that I should be thankful. Players as a league should be thankful for what he's done for the player group, for negotiating all these big contracts. And I'm not denying the fact that he has been the one from early on that has negotiated big contracts and has helped move the market. There's truth to that. There's validity to that. Am I thankful? Am I bowing down to Scott Boras because he negotiated those deals when the players that were on the field were the ones that earned those deals and the market was just growing and evolving and all this different stuff anyway? No, I'm not bowing down to Scott Boras and thanking him profusely for being the savior of baseball to negotiate all these big, long-term, high-dollar value amount contracts and save the players. I don't know. No, I'm not bowing down for that. Does he deserve some credit for it? Sure, absolutely. But it's not him that's doing all of it. Like he's been a part of it. He's not the one on the field earning this. So then he has the gall to go on and say that that there are some players in the league that they choose not to represent. Scott, what are you talking about, dude? I'm sure there are players that you choose not to represent, but in the case of this, I've never, ever thought about you representing me. Ever. I've never wanted that. I mean, from back in like my high school days, my college days, I've not once spoken to anyone at your agency. I've not once wanted to speak to anyone at your agency. I have no interest in having you represent me. I have attorneys that represent me, okay? I know that you claim to be an attorney. I don't know if you still have your bar license. I don't think you do. So I don't think you're technically an attorney right now. Maybe you were at one point. I could be wrong on that. I'll have to do some more research. I really don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I've heard. I have attorneys that represent me. I'm very happy with my representation. I want no part of being a Boras client at all. So for you to assume that like, oh, well, I would just go run to you and have you represent me if you would accept me, is just ridiculous. That is the most ridiculous, self-centered, whatever. The guy's not worth my time anymore. So that's it on the Scott Boras thing. Not a fan of the vlog, trying to get it shut down, but it will never be shut down, Scott, because you can't do anything about it. And I know that pisses you off. The vlog will continue, and I do not want to be a Boras client. Ever. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. I'll be done with baseball before I become a Boras client. Want no part of it. Okay, so then we have Boras clients coming at me on the phone, but some Boras clients then, I tweet some stuff out about him, and then they come to his defense, which is fine. One of those players that came to his defense is Trevor Rosenthal. I have a lot of respect for Trevor. I've enjoyed watching him play. He's great on the field. He's done a lot for the game, and nothing but respect for him. We talk. We've texted a couple times and talked on the phone, and we have a good relationship. But he tweeted at me saying stuff about momentum and how going about attacking other players and other agents in the game, and while trying to bring in more media attention and more eyeballs to baseball, that going and attacking other players as agents and potentially other players, and also starting a company that was in direct competition with another player-owned company is not the way to go about it. So we had a tweet exchange back and forth about that. Momentum is a player-run company. It's a player-owned company. I co-founded it. I started it. I own part of Momentum. Tyke Green owns part of Momentum. He's my business partner, but like I co-founded it with him. So Momentum is a player-run, player-owned company. Momentum exists to connect fans and players on a human level. That's all players. It's not just me. It's not just my platform. If any player wants to come work with us, we'd love to work with players. You know, if Trevor Rosenthal wants to come work with us, we'd love to work with players. We want to work with all the players, because the more content we can get out of the players being themselves, the more fans are going to be interested in those players. The better it is for the players, the better it is for us as a company, the better it is for baseball, the better it is for everybody. So I'm not starting Momentum to compete with other player-owned companies. I'm starting it to assist in the push to try to get player content, player-owned and player-driven content out there to the fans. And that's really what the motivation behind Momentum is. And so that was a little bit interesting. I thought it was worthwhile bringing up because some people thought that I was a little bit, or thought that I was attacking Trevor on that tweet or something, and I wasn't. I was just trying to simply explain what Momentum's about in case there's any misunderstanding. We've since talked and texted, and everything's cool, and life goes on. I appreciate how he handled it. Hopefully he appreciates how I handled it, and that's the case on that. Let's see here. I mentioned earlier that I tweeted out the cleats, and then like 2 minutes later, the league office was calling the PA and my agent and all this different stuff. Does MLB have notifications turned on for my Twitter? Do they have notifications on for me? I think they might. They might, because that's a pretty quick response. I didn't tag them in it. MLB might have notifications turned on for my Twitter. If that's the case, I feel pretty special. You know, I feel like I'm a high value Twitter account. MLB has notifications turned on for me. I don't know if that's true or not, but we're going to roll with it. I might make a shirt that says MLB turned on notifications for @Bauer outage or something like that. It'd be way less wordy than that. But it just got me thinking, like, man, they found that pretty quick. They must have notifications on for me. So I think that's pretty cool. Tomorrow morning, one non-baseball-ish thing. Tomorrow morning, I am closing on a storage facility. It's an investment property. So normally in the off season is when I would close on these things, and I would go sit down, and it's an hour and a half process-ish, and you sign a bunch of paperwork, and I can't do that. I'm on the road, so I have a notary with all the paperwork coming to the hotel for me to sit down and sign with. So that's going to be an interesting little experience. I don't think I've ever done it on the road like this before. So I'm interested to see how that goes with all the COVID regulations and all that stuff. But that's in the morning. I actually have to get some sleep here in a second because that's coming up fairly quickly. I got to be up at like 9:30. So that brings me to the rant of the week, which is the unwritten rules. And I talked about this a little bit, but here's the deal. And here's why it's a rant. You got a bunch of old people in baseball, old players, not old age-wise, but players who are no longer are players, former players, and some current players who are towards the back end of their career, and the announcers and the TV hosts and the people in the league office and the manager, all these different people, they played the game a certain way. The game can still be played that way on the field, like there's still 3 outs and the bases are still 90 feet and the mound for now is still 60. Like the game is the same, but it's played at a much different level in a much different way. We have analytics now. We know that hitting home runs is better than bunting. We know that stealing in most cases is not as valuable as just going and trying to get a hit. We know that fastball velocity is good. We know that all this stuff. And social media exists now, and it didn't exist back then. So whereas baseball used to be one of the only things that was on television, and it was America's pastime, attention spans have gotten shorter in America, and people are interested in stuff that's on social media. And MLB has not done a good job of getting on social media, at least before MLB or before NBA and NFL did. So we're lagging behind as an industry on those sports as far as engagement. How do you get engagement? You have fun. You do things that are intriguing. All right. Seeing someone take a 3-0 pitch because it's an unwritten rule is not nearly as intriguing or interesting as watching one of the best players in the game hit a grand slam. Like, watching Tim Anderson hit a home run and just drop his bat and run around the bases is not nearly as interesting as watching Tim Anderson hit a home run, yell to his dugout because he's pumped that he just hit a home run, and flip his bat. Like, watching Juan Soto do his little glide in the box and, like, grab his nuts is, like, interesting. It's personality. It's like, oh, now you associate that little glide with Juan Soto. You associate, the bat throw with Tim Anderson. Like, these are the things that the players associate with something. Fans know about it. People know about, like, and the unwritten rules of baseball are killing that. They exist. Literally, the unwritten rules of baseball exist to kill that. If you want fans, wrestling's a great sport to look at, or great entertainment to look, great entity to look at. They script everything, but fans love it because fans and people in general love a story. They love drama. They love a storyline. They love a good guy and a bad guy. They love good versus evil. They like, that's what creates interest and intrigue. Like, you tune into wrestling not because you necessarily want to see what happens, but you want to see the performance. And at the end of the day, baseball players are performers. We're out there entertaining. Yes, we're playing a game. Yes, we want to win. Yes, we want to go to the World Series. Yes, all this different stuff. But we're entertainers. And to have unwritten rules that go directly against being better at entertaining the fans is so ridiculous. The best thing that could possibly happen is someone hits a homer and bat flips. The pitcher takes exception to it. The next time, the pitcher comes up and strikes the guy out, does a little celebration of his own, stares the guy down. The hitter goes, okay, all right, we're 1-1. Now you got a third at bat. All right, let's see who wins. Instead what happens is like, oh, you showed emotion, so now I'm mad, so I'm going to throw at you, and now we're going to get a brawl. Like, why don't you just compete? If someone does something that you don't like, then compete, get them out and show them up. And, like, if they don't like getting shown up and they realize, like, oh, I just got shown up because I showed him up, and they want to stop, then fine. But, like, this is what creates rivalries. In today's age, this is what will create rivalries. Because with baseball having free agency and players moving around so much, there's not really any rivalries left. Yes, Yankees, Red Sox, sure, but it's not nearly as heated as it used to be because there's different players. Now you have players on the Red Sox that used to be Yankees and Yankees that used to be Red Sox. And then you have half the Red Sox team might be people that played on the West Coast for the majority of their career. And the Yankees might have like 3 people from overseas, and they might have, and so like it doesn't, the way it used to be is since players were with the team for their whole career, like you had storylines. So when the Yankees played the Red Sox, you knew that this happened last time and the same people were going to be there. And 2 years ago when the same people did this, and so there's, the characters, there's a storyline, there's drama, and that's why it was such a good thing. And that's why the rivalry took on the magnitude that it did. You don't have that today. Players move around so much. Players know each other. They're on social media. They talk. They're friends. So you don't have that built in. So you have to manufacture that in some ways. And baseball should be encouraging that, not trying to strike it down with these unwritten rules. If there's going to be unwritten rules, then I guess there should probably be like an unwritten rule handbook. So we should probably write down the unwritten rules to distribute it to the players so the players know what rules they're supposed to follow or what will get you thrown at if you do it. But, like, I don't know. Like, what if Tatis didn't even know that it was an unwritten rule and he just hits a homer and then Machado gets thrown at? And, like, what if neither of them knew what the heck was going on? Like, well, what? Like, so if there's going to be unwritten rules, we should write down the unwritten rules and distribute a handbook to the players so they know what the unwritten rules are because they'd have them there in writing. That's how stupid I think the unwritten rules are. Rant over, and that brings me to my favorite section of the Trevor Bauer Show, this week's Week Tweets, the section where I read the weakest tweets I received this week, and I received a lot of tweets this week. Many of them were very weak. Starting off, this is great. Some blue check mark tweeted at me. So I put out a tweet. If y'all want to watch what it's like to be on a team that's staring a potential COVID-19 outbreak square in the face, momentum's got you. We got the vlog. We covered that with Scott Boras. Some random ass blue check mark responds and goes, when you're definitely worried about the health and safety of your teammates. Some passive aggressive thing judging me, saying that I'm not worried about the health and safety of my teammates because I'm trying to tell the fans that if they want to see what the behind the scenes, I'll have it on video and this is where you can go watch it. How passive aggressive is that? Also, who the hell are you to judge me and make that statement? Like, you claim to be like a reporter or something like that, and you're supposed to report on the facts, like not give your damn opinion on someone that you don't know, or just randomly, I don't know. Terribly weak tweet, but someone responds and says, guess we'll see this on weak tweets later this week. Yes, you absolutely will. Absolutely will. So whoever tweeted that, good for you. Tweet number 2, serious question. What do you expect to do post-baseball given how dumb and terrible you are as a person? Wow. How dumb I am. I'm definitely not dumb. I know a lot about baseball, so I could do anything I want in baseball, basically. I could go manage. I could be a coach. I could be a pitching coach, a director, a GM. I could go coach a private facility. I could do college. I could do a lot of stuff in baseball, but I don't even really necessarily want to do that. I want to do business, and I'm fairly smart in that too, because I'm doing something that the fans really want that no one else has done. I don't know if I'll be able to build a successful business or not, but I'm sure going to try, and I would bet on myself because generally when I put my mind to something, I learn how to do it. Also, how terrible I am as a person. I don't know what makes a person terrible. I'm really not sure. But I'm not a terrible person. I don't think I'm a terrible person. I don't think a lot of people think I'm a terrible person. Certainly the charities I give to don't think I'm a terrible person. Certainly my teammates don't think I'm a terrible person. Who are you to tell me I'm a terrible person? And if you're going to tell me that, can we define what terrible person is? Can we get some definitions in here? You got to bring more than that to the table. Okay, let's see. What's up next? I hit 300,000 followers. I was going to talk about that, but then I blew up to like 330,000 followers with all this stuff that's gone on the last 2 days. So that was good. Here's someone who says, I love how he tries to act, he in reference to me, I love how he tries to act like such a tough guy. He was all criticizing Laureano, the way he charged the dugout. I'd like to see your 6'0" nothing, 190 nothing little douche ass charge a dugout and see what happens. You're the biggest douche alive. Shut your pie hole. Sir, language. This is a Wendy's. Also, I'm 6 feet, yes, but I'm 205 pounds. Not that it matters for your argument, but you're just wrong. So if you're going to come with facts, you better come with facts or just don't quote stats at all. Let's see. How am I trying to act like such a tough guy? I'm just giving my opinion on things. Like, certainly, if someone wants to come out to the mound, like, I'm going to sit there and do my best. I got it planned out. I know what I'm going to do. I'm not scared. That was a pretty weak tweet. Yeah, just a weak tweet all around. All right, up next. This guy is nothing but a walking and talking complaint. Why don't you just shut up and play the sport you're mediocre at, buddy? I'm the best pitcher in the league this year. Definitely not mediocre. Also, I'm a big leaguer, which means I'm in the top, 1% of the 1% of people who play baseball. Yeah, just, that ain't it, bud. That ain't it. And then we have one special one from one, let's see, you're a verified account, but riding off the coattails of someone else. Let's see, I gotta go through and find it. It's basically just, man, where is it? Yep, here we go. So, someone tweets me and says, honest question, Trevor. Let's say that 97-mile-per-hour fastball Kelly threw slipped under the bill of Correa's helmet, hit him in the temple, and killed him. Would you still be praising him and thanking him? I responded to that with, cry. I'm not praising or thanking anyone, bud. All right? If I wanted to thank someone, I would say, hey, thanks. I appreciate what you did for me. I'm not doing that. I'm also not praising someone. There's a difference between making a cultural, like a pop culture joke or a pop culture reference that's fun and entertaining, and supporting someone or not supporting someone. Like, it's just completely different. Also, the two aren't mutually exclusive. Like, I can say Free Joe Kelly and still not condone his actions, or I could say Free Joe Kelly and condone his actions. Like, it's just it's not even relevant. So I say cry, and he comes back and says the irony in all of this, because the day before I wore the Free Joe Kelly cleats, I said stop throwing at people's heads. There's no place in baseball for that. Get the hell out of the game if you're going to do that, which I believe in, and I've said that my entire career. I've been consistent with that. So he says the irony in all of this, and I responded with big mad in all caps, and then hit him with, oh yeah, I forgot your family is an expert on hypocrisy. P.S. I didn't really forget, and no one else did either, with a fun picture displaying what I was talking about. He was all about responding. You know, I sent my response, he responded right away. I sent my second response, he responded right away. I sent my third response, he responded right away. I sent that one, crickets. Absolute crickets. I'm not going to name names. If you want to go on Twitter and see what I'm talking about, it's public. You can go find it. So I saved that one for last, because just the weakest of all the weak tweets that I received this week. Just laughable in so many ways. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to get some sleep because my recovery's done and I got to get up early. So that's all for the Trevor Bauer Show today. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, please do so. It would help me on my way to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2020. Share this video with people who are wondering what my take on these situations was, and I'll see you in the next video.